Hello and welcome, everyone. We're just so delighted that you've tuned in for Hawthorn University's All About Alumni. I'm Paula Bartholomew, and today I have the pleasure of interviewing Margo Kirzhner, and it's your opportunity to ask her questions. Just type any question or comment that you have into the webinar panel, and I'll present them during our Q&A period. So, I think the big question here today is, have you ever wondered what your journey could be like after your educational pursuits in school? Do the educational experiences end with a degree or keep going? And today, Margo will share the motivation for returning to school for higher nutrition training, her continuing education resources and credentials that she's earned, how her career is evolving, the conferences, the lab, and supplement companies that she aligns with, her income stream and expenses, as well as her challenges and goals. Margo is going to bring details that haven't been presented on All About Alumni previously, so we'll all have an opportunity to learn from her experiences, and I'm really excited about that. Margo, I'm excited to be here together.
Hi, Paula. How are you?
I'm doing really good. It's my pleasure to introduce you now in your presentation, Navigating My Way to a Perfect Practice. Margo is a certified holistic health coach and nutrition counselor focusing on diet and lifestyle as key components in healing and achieving optimal wellness. She's a graduate of Ohio State University and has studied with prominent doctors of naturopathy, integrative MDs, holistic dentists, and others who are pioneering new approaches to health and wellness. She loves learning and attends multiple integrative wellness conferences and trainings. I'm going to stop with that because I want Margo to reveal the rest of her accomplishments. All right, Margo, are you ready?
I am.
All right. I want you to start out, if you don't mind, and tell us a little bit about yourself and why you got into this field and what kind of education that you've taken advantage of along the way.
Sure, Paula. Thanks a lot for having me here. I mean, obviously, Hawthorn has been a key part of my education, and I'm really happy to tell the other students or possible students about my experiences. So this is what I'm going to cover today. As Paula already mentioned, ranging from my education to what kinds of things I do in my practice and other things like expenses and so on. So as for many of us in this field, this is not my first career. I studied computer science at Ohio State, and then I sort of had a career nonprofit. And then, as it often happens, my child got ill. And when she got ill and I had to turn outside of allopathic medicine is when I really, it dawned on me that I couldn't count on mainstream medicine and on the dietary theories that the mainstream was pushing on us to sort of get her well. So I was introduced to alternative and integrative care. And then it also came in handy 10 years later when I myself got ill. So again, as for many of us, this was my journey to this field. So as far as my education, I have experienced many different avenues. I started at the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, which is the world's largest nutrition school, which was a high-level 9 months health coaching curriculum. And we were introduced to a lot of different dietary theories, heard from people ranging from Joel Fuhrman to Sally Fallon. It was just a big introduction to different considerations in holistic and integrative care. And it was a really good program for a lay person, but I don't feel like it really prepared me to practice in any way. So after that, I enrolled in Holistic Nutrition Lab, which is now called the Functional Nutritional Analysis. It's Andrea Nakayama's company, and she actually has this curriculum for people who are graduates of IIN to teach them more about how do you practice in this field. But when I was studying under Andrea, I realized that I really needed more of a background in sciences and in different considerations. So I started looking for a formal educational experience, and that's when I found Hawthorn. Like many of you, I was looking for something that was flexible, that would allow me to follow my own schedule, also cost-effective, and where I could have a mentor, professor that I could work with. And Hawthorn really fit all of those requirements. After starting Hawthorn, I still wanted something more as far as the art of practice. So I started looking for other things while I was a student. I had the opportunity to take a certification class from Metagenics in their first-line therapy approach to sort of how to work with clients in the area of functional medicine. And I also enrolled in the School for Applied Functional Medicine, which is Tracy Harrison online, sort of functional nutrition school. And again, the stuff that I was learning at Hawthorn provided the underpinnings for all of these other curricula and really allowed me to understand and assimilate the information in a great way. And then finally, I felt that I knew enough to attempt to start taking seminars from the Institute for Functional Medicine. If you're not familiar with this organization, please look it up. It was founded by Jeff Bland, and Mark Hyman is the chair of the board. And it's the organization that does certification for doctors and acupuncturists and chiros to become sort of a certified practitioner of functional medicine. The curriculum is very high level, and they do provide a certification at the end for which I unfortunately am not yet eligible for, but they allow sort of allied practitioners, even if you're not eligible for certification, to take their seminars. And I have taken 5 of their seminars. They're 3 to 5 day on various subjects, and the education I got at Hawthorn really allowed me again to understand and assimilate the information that they were teaching me. So the stuff on the bottom are the letters that I can put on the end of my name if I want to. Obviously my master's from Hawthorn, holistic health coach, which is the designation I got from doing the IIN course. I'm board certified in holistic nutrition. Again, because I graduated from Hawthorn, I was eligible to sit for the certification. I'm certified from the School for Applied Functional Medicine through Tracy Harrison. And again, first line certified through Metagenics.
Congratulations on your board exam, passing that.
Thank you.
And yeah,
Thank you.
board
I really
certified now.
I felt that I was well prepared from the curriculum. So the other thing that I did to supplement my education was attend a lot of seminars from these various supplement companies and lab companies. As soon as I became a student at Hawthorn and as soon as I graduated from IIN, I tried to get accounts with as many supplement or lab companies as I could. And at first it was to purchase supplements and get labs if I wanted to, but also it got me on their list to be invited to all of their trainings, whether they're virtual or in person. And I'm lucky to live in a large metropolitan area where these sort of seminars are plentiful. Not a month goes by where there isn't one from one of these companies. And I was able to open accounts with many people and started meeting the local reps for these places, and they started inviting me to their seminars and again to online trainings. And if you do that, make sure that you, and you're a student at Hawthorn, make sure you ask for the student rates for these things. And the dollar sign on this list indicate the relative cost of these seminars. So Biotics seems to be the least expensive, and then Apex and going down the line are more expensive, but they're really good, and they range, you know, on subjects from cardiovascular health to hormones to blood chemistry analysis to brain and so on. The other thing that I love doing is going to conferences. My favorite is the Integrative Healthcare Symposium. It takes place in New York every February. It's a great combination of well-known names in integrative medicine, but also a lot of out-of-the-box presenters in fields like energy medicine and homeopathy. I also did the Wise Traditions conference right after I started Hawthorn. It was a great experience, but I feel like that conference is more for lay people as opposed to practitioners. So I haven't gone back to it, but I might, because it's coming to Baltimore, which is near where I live. So I might go this year. The Institute for Functional Medicine annual conference is amazing. It's very intense. Most of the people there are medical professionals, so the presentations are really high level, But again, with my Hawthorn education, I'm able to keep up and get a lot out of it. I also live near the Maryland University of Integrative Health, which is the school where Liz Lipsky now works. She used to be at Hawthorn. And they put on amazing events also. I especially love their Nutritional Genomic Conference, which they do in the summer. And so those are professional development conferences, but my favorite conference that I've ever been to has been the Hay House conferences. And if you guys have ever been, you'll know what I mean. These are sort of more for my personal development, my spiritual growth, the evolution of my thinking, and so on. So I strongly recommend that if you have an opportunity to go to that one. The other thing that I do, and I'm sure all of you do too, is listen to a lot of summits. I sometimes have to laugh at myself because I purchase a lot of these because I can't listen to all of them for free, but I really very seldom find the time to listen to any of the lectures after I purchase them. But I find that these give really great exposure to people in the field who are considered experts in a certain condition. And especially if it's a niche that you want to connect with, I strongly recommend that you listen to these summits. I now know sort of which speakers would be worth listening to or not. And I also find this is a great way for me to figure out who is it that I want to follow more or research more or learn more from. So then I can sign up for their newsletter, you know, maybe take one of their online classes and so on. So as you can see, there are a lot of opportunities for all of us, both formally and informally, to continue our education in this field.
It's just brilliant, the way that you've just presented it and framed your educational background and the reasons for doing it. So with that in mind, let's have you talk a little bit more about how your career is evolving.
Sure. So this is a picture of me doing a corporate lunch and learn, and it was, this is a smoothie making station where I had all of the superfoods there, and I was explaining to people what each of them do and so on. But my career evolved in two directions. One was individual client work and one was everything else. So when I was a student at Hawthorn, when I just started, I wasn't prepared to work with individual clients. I just didn't feel confident enough. So instead what I did is I created a group wellness curriculum. It was a 6-session class where the first 5 classes deal with various subjects like organics and lifestyle and digestion and so on. And then the last class was an open Q&A. And I made PowerPoint presentations and made handouts, and I taught my first class in my home to my neighbors. I did it for free. And it was a big hit, and then my neighbors told other people about it, and then I started running them periodically in my home for other people, but now being paid for them. And then people started asking me to do a cleanse with them because, you know, everyone wants to do a cleanse. So I created a 30-day cleanse sort of offering where I meet with people one-on-one, and I allow them 30 days of free, like email and text, and I have a booklet that tells them what to do exactly day by day, and I also sell them, you know, a cleanse kit with supplements, and this works really, really well. And then I came up with a kitchen detox where I would go to people's houses for a couple hours, and I look, you know, basically in their cupboards and under their sink and sort of ask them what they're eating. And while I'm there, I would show them how to use various apps on the cell phone to tell, you know, if their food is clean or not. And this is the thing that you see on the slide is like my little rack card for the kitchen detox that I give away to people. And this is, I feel like, a really great way in 2 hours to really turn somebody's life around because you can teach them a lot. And then I provide a written report at the end of the detox so people can know which foods to buy, what they need to pay attention to, what to replace, and so on. I've also done some grocery tours when people were completely unfamiliar with any of the food I wanted them to eat. But again, all of these were not working with people as an individual nutritional counselor. And again, I lacked the confidence to do that. So I actually begged my own nutritionist to take me to work in her practice. And I asked her to take me as an unpaid intern. This was about 3 years ago. And she didn't want to do it, but I wrote a big proposal for her to show her what I could bring to her practice. And she finally relented and took me. And 6 months after I started with her, this turned into a paid job. So I still work in her office. It's now 2.5 years later. And I work 2 days a week for her. And I have both client work in her office, but I also do some blog writing, ebooks, presentations. I help her write the book that she recently published. I do handouts for her. So it's really a great experience for me. And after I started working with her is when I really gained the confidence to sort of take my own individual clients. And then when I started dipping my toe into individual client work, not before that. So as I said, the other half of my practice is not working with individual clients. In this side of my practice, what I do is I work for other practitioners. So here you see me presenting at a holistic dental health summit that we had in our area last year. So I partnered with this holistic dentist and I helped him put on a summit for other dentists. I teach seminars in other people's offices on detox, nutrition, and other things. I make materials for them to give to their clients, for example, how to be gluten-free and dairy-free. I teach my 6-session group wellness class and other people to their clients. And also recently, because Paula posted on the Hawthorn Facebook group that Julie Matthews, who is a nutritionist famous for working in the autism field, was looking for people to help her do professional notes on the summit she was hosting. I applied and I got the job taking summit notes, and I really loved that, so I hope to do more of that in the future. I also do corporate lunch and learns, and those are paid, and I also often go to corporate wellness fairs, and those can be paid or unpaid. So my favorite part of my practice is this, though, is I already mentioned that I created a group wellness course, and I made presentations for that, and I decided to take those and sort of professionalize them and sell them to other practitioners. Because I find that people may want to do community outreach, they may want to speak in their yoga studio or in their library or in their school, but they don't know how to put together a presentation. So I have 6 or 7 different ones that I've already made off the shelf. It's a PowerPoint where each slide is annotated with notes, and then I give them a handout that they can give to people, and they can basically take it, customize it with their logo, and deliver it at a venue of their choice. And I sell these on my website to practitioners. They're inexpensive, and there are other people who sell presentations and done-for-yous, but they tend to be more expensive because they have like social media posts and images and so on. This is sort of a simple and expensive first step if you want to try doing a presentation in your community to get clients. And I also make custom presentations for people. So let's say somebody was asked to speak about the root causes of disease or women's health, and they don't know how to put together a presentation. So they basically pay me to do it, and I really enjoy doing that. So those are the sort of areas that I do in my practice and in my career.
Gosh, Margo, you've done such a variety of things in this field, and it's really impressive. What advice can you give the people listening to help them ferret out what their perfect practice is or might be?
So, you know, there's many ways you can go, and these are some of the things that you really need to think about. And most important of which is, what do you like to do? You know, I find that I don't like working with individuals for many reasons, but maybe you do. And also, what are you suitable for? So if you're afraid of public speaking, then, you know, doing corporate lunch and learns is probably not for you. Also, what do you have the knowledge and the experience for? You know, like I would probably never address a group of pregnant women because I don't know that much about nutrition and pregnancy, but maybe you do. The other thing important to think about is, what kind of income do you need, and what is the potential of whatever career that you're trying to do. And there are many ways of going. You can do individual, or you can work with groups. You can work in person in an office, or you can work online. You can focus on corporate only and forget the individual market at all. You can sell packages, which many practitioners do, or you can do a la carte sessions. And the last one is also important. I don't really like working alone. I like collaborating with others. That's why my part-time job in the nutrition office is really important to me. I like having a community of people that I can brainstorm with and learn from and sort of get energy from. So think about these sorts of things when you're considering what kind of practice you want to build.
It's really helpful information, Margo. Appreciate this also. Let's come back to your practice a little bit and talk about the tools that you use.
Sure. So if you're going to practice with people and help them with their health, beyond just like diet and lifestyle, you may want to run labs. And as many of you know, direct-to-consumer lab testing is now available in most states. So basically, you can get any lab you want without having a doctor prescribe it for you. So this is in black is the list of labs that I have an account with. Although I use the top 3 most often, I almost never use the rest of them. And I like to test and don't guess. I just feel that that's a better way of practicing nutritional counseling. And most of these you can open student accounts with when you're a student at Hawthorn. Go from there. And the great thing about running labs is that you get to do a free consult with the lab to discuss the results. And please always do those, because you learn so much. At one of the labs, it's the head of the lab that does these consults, and the consultations are always full of information. You can learn so much. As soon as I know that a client has submitted a lab, I call the lab and make an appointment for a consult. They're usually 30 minutes and really are invaluable. And don't be discouraged if a lab will not give you an account. For example, I still cannot get an account with Genova or Doctor's Data, but I find that other labs with similar tests give me an account, and that's fine with me. The labs in the red on the bottom are other labs that I know other HU graduates have accounts with, but I don't myself, have an account with them or use them. And then we go back to supplement companies. I already mentioned that, as soon as I became a student at HU, I opened student accounts with many of the individual supplement companies like Metagenics, Biotics, Pure Encapsulations, and so on. And I used to use those accounts a lot, but recently I've switched most of my supplement prescripting to Fullscript or Emerson Ecologics. But I do have still individual accounts with Zymogen and Microbiome Labs. Those 2 are not sold through wholesalers. But I still keep my other accounts open, again, to be on their email list, to be invited to their seminars, to their webinars, and so on. A huge advantage of opening accounts is also to get to know the local supplement reps. And I tell you, if I have a difficult client that I don't know what to do with, I will usually take their labs or whatever information I have from them. I will make them anonymous, and I will email it to all my local supplement reps to say, do you have suggestion for me? And usually within 1 or 2 days, I'll have 2 or 3 different protocols, in my inbox waiting for me to look at and helping me figuring out how to go forward. So Paul, I think, that was it as far as tools.
I see that, but I was just framing my next question because it takes you back into working with individuals, and it seems like you really don't enjoy that yourself so much. But let's talk a little bit more about that. Okay.
So yes, this is me working with individuals, really stressed. I don't enjoy that for personal reasons. But I did put together a list of don'ts and do's in case you do choose to work with individuals. So the biggest thing I would say is please don't take complicated clients alone. When you open your practice, often you feel compelled to take whoever comes to you because you need the income, you want to build your practice, but I think it's a mistake. And you're also doing people a disservice. When I started, I don't think I was equipped to take like a person with an autoimmune disease or, God forbid, cancer, or who have had a heart attack. We really need to be able to serve and do your best for anyone that you accept as a client. The other thing is, a lot of us guess instead of testing. And again, I already discussed this. I would never do that. Even putting people on an antimicrobial for like a gut condition, I would never do that without running a stool test first. The other thing that I find is people in our field, I call them dietocrats. They sort of have a one-size-fits-all approach in diet or in protocols. So for example, there are people who are paleo and they think paleo is the only right diet for everyone, or people think that keto is great for everybody, or that being vegan is the only way to go. So we now know that genetically people do better on different diets. And there was a study out of Israel who tested glycemic response of 800 people to the same meal. And it was very varied. So even our responses to the same meal vary based on our genetics and our microbiome composition. So there's no such thing as one diet that's right for everyone. It makes our job harder, but that's the way it is. The other thing that we do is we give clients too much to do. You take a person and you're asking them to, lower their stress level and move more and to practice sleep hygiene and to change their diet and they eat organic food. And then we also give them a lot of supplements. In my view, less is more. And Dr. Mackey, who used to teach at Hawthorn, always says that if you work on little things and you work on one issue with supplements, very often you give the body the permission to fix the rest by itself without doing any more interventions. So the things to do if you do decide to work with individuals is collaborate with others, work under a more experienced practitioner. Always consult with labs, like I already said. Consult with your local supplement reps to help you with protocols. Ask for help on Facebook forums, like we have one from Hawthorn, I have one from my functional medicine training, and so on. And always work on baby steps. Food quality, sleep, movement, home cleanup, stress and management. But, go slow. Do one at a time, and, don't overwhelm people with this. So if you don't want to work with individuals, which I still do, but I don't like to, think about some of the things that I'm doing in my practice. Start doing kitchen makeovers. It is like working with an individual, but without having to address their health issues. Basically going to their home and showing them how to eat clean food, using clean cookware, clean up their, cleaning products, and so on. It's very easy. Teach them how to grocery shop. Many of you are chefs, and you can do meal planning and, teach people how to cook. Offer a short-term detox like I did. Very easy to do, and, it has like a finite scope of practice. You're not trying to work with their disease or help them, recover from an illness or so on. Work under someone else like I do in my nutrition practice. My boss really drives the treatment and I just help her with it. Then you can do some other things like I do. Maybe you can create presentations, handouts, and materials if you're good at that. If you're a great writer, write blogs or articles for online publications. Help organize local summits or events. See if you can do these lunch and learns or one-off seminars in your area. And also a lot of us I know work in multi-level marketing companies like essential oils, and are really building very nice careers out of that. There's a lot of options.
There's a lot of options, and you framed this really, really well. Great advice here. But, I imagine some of us might be thinking about money. So
Yeah.
that matters too. So can you talk a little bit more about the financial implications of working in a hybrid practice the way that you do? It's very unique.
Sure. So, you know, these are the various sources of income that I have right now. You know, my part-time job provides a huge piece of it because I know, you know, I work there and I know this is the salary that's coming in. And my work with individual clients, you know, I'm doing health coaching or nutrition coaching sessions. I make money from supplements, and this is really nice. I upcharge them on labs. You know, so when I order a stool test or a SpectraCell or something, you know, I charge a fee for that. And obviously I make money from my kitchen detoxes, grocery tours, and cleanses. And, you know, you can set your own fees for that, but you can make a nice income from that. Group programs can be really lucrative. So if you do them yourself, you obviously get to keep all the money yourself, but if you do it in somebody else's office, I usually split it with people 50-50, but then they have to recruit all the participants, which is nice because you don't have to do any marketing. As I said, the corporate seminars I do also have a fee, like the Lunch and Learns. When I teach seminar for other practitioners, they pay me. Obviously, I get money from these presentations I sell online, and when I do something custom for someone. And I already mentioned this note-taking thing that I started doing for summits, and I'm really excited about this, and I hope to do more of it in the future. That was also paid. And these are the expenses that I have in my practice. You might have more or less, but I pay an accountant. My website has to be hosted, and I have a web designer who, you know, updates my website for me. I have a graphic artist that makes my biz cards, giveaways. You know, she created my logo. I use LegalZoom for state fees and other legal requirements. I pay membership fees because I feel it's important to support organizations that I care about. IFM, Institute for Functional Medicine, NANP, which is the organization that credentialed my board certification. And I also subscribe to Green Med Info because I feel like it's a great research avenue for me. I have an account with a company that does SNP or genetic interpretation analysis. There's also a fee for that. I pay the School of Applied Functional Medicine a fee for ongoing access to my past classes and to have access to their Q&A and their Facebook forum. And obviously the conferences and the workshop and the summits that I do are also an expense. And then there are things like Dropbox, PayPal, GoDaddy, WordPress, you know, all of these have fees. And a lot of us have practice management software like Practice Better or Healthy. There's a fee for that. Some of us use Zoom and MailChimp, and those are all things. I don't have those, but that's something that you have to keep in mind if you want to, you know, start building a newsletter list or doing online marketing and so on. I am looking into joining an online functional lab analysis software company, and also looking into getting online access to labs through a company called Devexia. So those will be extra fees also.
Margo, you know, you make it sound easy. So I want to turn and have you bring out what are your biggest challenges? Let's go there. You must have some.
Ironically, they really have nothing to do with like my practice, and it's things like ineffective use of time, analysis paralysis. I call it infobesity, like too much information coming into my head. And one reason why I don't like working with individuals is because I fear that I'm going to fail or do them harm. This is the main reason. So I view that as a personal struggle also. And also deciding how much can I or do I want to work. I have elderly parents and I have children who are married and hopefully will be starting families of their own. So how much do I want to work?
Yeah, big questions, really important things to ask oneself when you're taking on as much as you do.
And the last one is really important too. You need to surround yourself with people that you trust, and you need to follow your intuition, because there's a lot of information and a lot of different ways of approaching clients and working this field, and you should feel comfortable with everyone that you choose to associate with. So some of the things that I'm considering for my future and my career is, do I want to really professionalize and roll out large-scale presentation sales? Maybe I want to consider an online cleanse or a group offering, but so many other people do it, so I don't know if it's worth it. The other thing is, should I just stop working with individuals, because I really don't enjoy it, as far as individual, like nutritional counseling, labs and supplements and so on. I would keep going with my kitchen detoxes and so on. And I'm also considering further education. I'm really interested in energy medicine, homeopathy. I want to learn more about nutritional genomics, and I want to finish the IFM curriculum, and hopefully if Hawthorn gets accredited, I can sit for their certification.
Fantastic. So, just into your question here about, do you want to, is it worth it to do online cleanse? I just look at just about anything that you've offered, and you've got a following now. And so, if you're trying to reach people that don't know you yet, but you have a great potential, I think, there to, even with the competition, to draw somebody to your unique way of working.
I appreciate it.
You bet. So let's wrap this up, and I want to see if you have one and last piece of advice that you want to leave us with today, Margo.
Sure. So the most important thing I can leave you all with is that put yourself first. I know this sounds selfish, but it really isn't. This is a list of concentric circles with you in the middle, and your family is next. And this is sort of things that are important to you, or at least they're important to me. After your family, it's your community, your country, and the world. But if you are not okay, then you can't be the best that you can be for people in the outside of your own circle. So if you are not okay, then you can't help your family or your community, and so on. So building the type of practice that you want really is part of you being the best you can be. And I hope that you always put yourself first and give yourself what you need to be the best practitioner you can.
Perfect. Just so well put, Margo. Thank you so much for this. And anybody has questions that you'd like to ask, now's the time, or comments on this, please type them in right now. One thing that came up for me, Margo, was when you talked about your labs and upcharging for them. Mm-hmm. So there's a fee that the lab cost, a lab kit would cost. Mm-hmm. And so you add a charge to the lab, and then do you also have a fee for the consultation when you're addressing the lab results with a client?
So I only run labs for people that I'm already working with. Mm-hmm. So I don't really have a lab consultation fee. But for example, the price for a lab, if they were to get it themselves, let's say for a stool test, could be maybe $500 or $600. Mm-hmm. But my practitioner cost is maybe $275. So mm-hmm. I will add a $50 fee to that. So they're still paying a lot less than they would if they would have bought the lab themselves. Mm-hmm. And then I get to make a little to sort of pay for my time that I have to spend to do a consult with the lab to discuss their lab results and so on.
That's right. But then would you meet with the client then after that to review it with them?
Absolutely, but I do that as part of my work with them. It's not really a lab review appointment. It would be, a meeting with them like I would anyway meet with them. I'm already working with them. So okay. The lab is part of their program.
Makes sense. I get it. So I also wanted to address the note-taking for summits. And just, as I was following you in school and your study group that you were part of, there were so many summits that were coming through at that time, and you were taking notes then, and the group were taking notes and sharing notes. So two things there just in terms of being in school and forming a group that you aligned well with and worked well with and supported each other. I think that's a piece that's important in terms of being in school. Would you say that that had great value for you, the study group?
Oh, absolutely. And I still, the study group that I formed when I was at Hawthorn, I still, I'm in touch with these people, and, two of them have become dear and close friends, and, I consult with them. And also, I'm only one person, so we share notes. So if there's an important summit and I only get to listen to 2 or 3 speakers, but then they get to listen to another 2 or 3, between us, we now have 5 or 6 notes that we wouldn't have had otherwise.
Mhm.
So absolutely collaborate, and also get other points of view from people. They may be coming at a problem in a different way that you can, and that's always very useful. Don't live in the bubble of your own sort of thinking. Be open to other people.
And I think, what you can share here is that, while you were in school, you were taking notes for your own learning, and that's positioned you really well from that experience to be a note taker for somebody who's putting on a summit like Julie Matthews.
Absolutely. And the reason why I love doing the notes is because I'm going to listen to these summits anyway. So this way I can take really good notes and get paid for it.
Mhm.
So it's a win-win for me.
I want to thank you again, Margo, for coming on All About Alumni and sharing your experience, and the plethora of detail that you've gone into here was just extremely beneficial to all of us. So thank you for that.
I really apologize for the power failure.
Hey, these things happen, and we have
I
already
know.
forgotten it. You brought us back to it. We already forgot. So no
Great.
worries. Things happen. It's okay. We'll edit it out, so it's not going to show in the replay, okay?
Wonderful.
All right. It's been a pleasure, Margo. I hope that you'll visit us again at Hawthorn and continue to share your good works with us.
All right. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And everybody, I want to tell you about our next All About Alumni is Wednesday, October 3rd at noon, and we've got Caroline Eslanian with us. So if you don't mind, please help spread the word and come back for that one too. Thanks, everybody. Thanks again, Margo.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.